Have you ever seen a woman wear 8 different wedding dresses, and each one more unforgettable than the last? Elizabeth Taylor didn't just fall in love, she made history with every walk down the aisle. From Hollywood satin to bold tie-dye, each gown told a story of passion, glamour, and reinvention. Let's take a closer look at the wedding dresses of a true icon. 1. Taylor's traditional wedding dress to marry Conrad Nicky Hilton on May 6, 1950. For her first wedding to Hilton, at just 18 years old, Taylor opted for a classic wedding dress. She wore a cream-colored satin gown designed by Helen Rose. The dress featured a corset top, full A-line skirt, long sleeves, and pearl embellishments throughout, with an off-the-shoulder sweetheart neckline and a sheer high-neck overlay. She accessorized with a pearl tiara, veil, and floral bouquet. Rose notably also designed Grace Kelly's wedding dress and Taylor's on-screen bridal look in the film Father of the Bride. In fact, that on-screen look partly inspired Taylor's real-life gown. Taylor and Hilton's wedding was a star-studded affair. Over 700 guests attended, many of them Hollywood superstars like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and Gene Kelly. However, the couple divorced about a year after the ceremony. In 2013, the dress sold at a London auction for $187,931, according to Christie's. 2. Taylor's tea-length suit to wed Michael Wilding on February 21, 1962. At her second wedding to English actor Michael Wilding, who was 20 years her senior, Taylor opted for a more serious and less glamorous look that was also designed by Rose. Instead of a gown, she wore a sophisticated suit, which featured a tea-length A-line skirt. The top had a large collar and cuffed 3/4-length sleeves. This time around, Taylor skipped the veil and tiara and instead opted to wear flowers in her hair that matched the small bouquet in her hands. She accessorized with a pearl necklace and not much else. Taylor and Wilding were married for nearly 5 years before divorcing in 1957. During their marriage, they had 2 boys together, Michael and Christopher. Third Taylor's hooded gown to marry Michael Todd on February 2, 1957. Not long after divorcing Wilding, Taylor married Hollywood producer Michael Todd, who she would later refer to as the great love of her life. In her 1988 autobiography, Elizabeth Takes Off, Taylor wrote, "God, I loved him. My self-esteem, my image, everything soared under his exuberant, loving care." The two got married in a small and intimate ceremony at City Hall in Acapulco, Mexico. For the ceremony, Taylor wore a stunning silk chiffon off-the-shoulder gown with a dramatic hood. The result was a traditional, daring, and glamorous look. Taylor didn't accessorize with much besides her enormous engagement ring. The rock was 29 carats, and Taylor referred to it as "my ice skating rink." 2 of Taylor and Todd's closest friends attended the wedding: Debbie Reynolds, Taylor's matron of honor, and Reynolds' husband, Eddie Fisher. Just a year later, in March 1958, Todd tragically died in a plane accident on a flight in his private plane, which was named after Taylor. The actress and Todd shared one daughter, Liza. 4. Taylor's green silk dress to wed Eddie Fisher on May 12, 1959. After Todd died, Fisher, one of his closest friends, stayed by Taylor's side to comfort her. It wasn't long before Taylor and Fisher began having an affair, which was made extra scandalous by the fact that Fisher was married to Reynolds, who was Taylor's best friend. A year after Todd's plane crash, Taylor and Fisher got married. Fisher divorced Reynolds and gifted Taylor a 40-carat engagement bracelet instead of a ring. Taylor converted to Judaism, and the two got married at Temple Beth Shalom in Las Vegas in 1959. Taylor opted for a very non-traditional wedding look, wearing a green silk dress that featured sheer sleeves and a hood with a full skirt. The couple stayed together until 1964. 5. Taylor's yellow dress to marry Richard Burton on March 15, 1964. About 5 years after marrying Fisher, Taylor ended things while having an affair with Welsh actor Richard Burton. The two met on the set of Cleopatra and got married just 9 days after Taylor and Fisher ended their marriage. For her 5th wedding, Taylor again went a non-traditional route with her dress. She wore a knee-length marigold chiffon baby doll dress with an empire waist, long sleeves, and a large collar. Her hair was done in a long, intricate braided updo, decorated with hyacinths and lilies of the valley weaved throughout. She carried a small bouquet of yellow flowers that matched the color of her dress. Burton gave Taylor a platinum Bulgari pendant instead of an engagement ring, which featured an 18.61-carat emerald and diamonds. She wore it as a brooch during the ceremony. Taylor and Burton remained married for 10 years before divorcing, making her first marriage with Burton her longest. 6. Taylor's tie-dye gown to wed Richard Burton, again, on October 10, 1975. No, that's not a mistake. Taylor and Burton divorced in 1974 and got married again a little over a year later in 1975. They tied the knot for the second time in Botswana. Taylor's entire look was the epitome of 1970s style. She wore an empire waist tie-dye Gina Frattini dress that featured all the bright colors of the rainbow. It was embroidered with beading and feathers, with huge flowing long sleeves. She completed the look with a bohemian updo created with ribbons and flowers. The second marriage didn't last long. The two divorced for the second time 9 months later in 1976. Taylor's gown later sold at auction in 2011 for $62,500. 7. Taylor's cashmere and fur outfit to marry Senator John Warner on December 4, 1976. For her seventh marriage, Taylor wed Senator John Warner on December 4, 1976. They had a small and intimate ceremony on his farm in Virginia. Taylor wore a purple cashmere dress and added a tweed and fur coat to stay warm. Her matching turban completed the unexpected look. The two divorced in 1982, but remained friendly. 8. Taylor's yellow Valentino dress to wed Larry Fortensky on October 6, 1991. For her eighth and final wedding, Taylor tied the knot with Larry Fortensky. The ceremony, which was probably the most lavish one she had, took place at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch in California. Although Taylor opted against wearing white, her gown still had a bridal feel. She wore a pale yellow lace Valentino gown that was off the shoulder with a plunging sweetheart neckline. A full tiered skirt completed the look. The bespoke gown was estimated to cost $25,000 and was gifted to Taylor by the designer. The wedding had about 160 guests, with stars like Liza Minnelli, Eddie Murphy, Diane von Furstenberg, and Brooke Shields in attendance. Elizabeth Taylor's life was filled with love, heartbreak, passion, and couture. Every dress captured a different chapter of her story, and every stitch whispered a bit of her soul. If you love timeless fashion, iconic women, and the elegance of the past, then you're already in the right place. Subscribe to Clara Marie for more unforgettable fashion journeys through royal history and old Hollywood glamour.